Hey everyone, DuckNuck84 here, back with another adventure game. Broken Swords, Shadows of the Templar, the Director's Cut. Now, when this game was originally released, back in '96, it was just known as Shadows of the Templars, and next to Sam & Max Hit the Road was probably one of my favorite adventure games back in the day. But, as with a lot of old games, it kind of fell out of favor until, the resurgence of, nostalgia-type games and stuff, so it is now re-available with the Director's Cut. Unfortunately, they basically butchered the job on the Director's Cut. Cut out a lot of stuff, changed some stuff that just, while it might have been interesting, just isn't, it lost some of the charm in some of the cuts that they made from the original game. So, I tried to get the original game to work, but unfortunately, with old games, it's kind of hard to get new recording software to actually record. So, we're going to have to be playing the Director's Cut. Now, it's not terrible in the sense that the game is no fun. It's just that, like I said, it loses some of the charm, I think, that the original had. If you are going to buy the game, though, I would recommend getting it from GOG instead of Steam, as GOG actually gives you a copy of the original game as an extra, so you can at least play the original game and see kind of what was changed and some of the charm that it is somewhat lacking in this one. So, but I think we're still going to have fun with it, so without further ado, let us start the game.
Paris. City of love, romance, and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too. But ever since that day, the day of the murder, I've always associated my beloved Paris with death.
Yeah, this whole opening here is brand new as well. Because the original game didn't start. It started similar, but not exactly like this. This part here it had this part as the opening part in the original intro, along with the crew. But this whole first section is brand new addition to the game. And it just doesn't have, I think, the punch that the original had, where it basically said, some stuff and then basically dropped you right into the story about what happened as a mystery. This one kind of gives you a little bit of backstory before all that happens. But at least, I do have to say the visuals are not bad.
I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royale now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa, I hate mimes.
Don't we all?
Unless you humor them, they don't go away.
Especially creepy
Here
mimes.
I was, the palace of the Media King and the Ice Queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico Collard. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
Madame Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
The talented and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father, he never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose.
It's like I have 1,000 of them.
Excuse me for one moment, my dear girl.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame.
Oh, burn.
That was no cat.
It was a mime!
What? Monsieur Carchon?
Hey, he was supposed to do that invisibly or imaginatively.
He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here.
There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
Yes, in fact, it was a mime crime.
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered. And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation? It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, because if we didn't start our own investigation, it would be kind of a boring game. So, yeah, basic instructions. I think I can figure that out. So, yeah, all this stuff right here is, like I said, brand new. And instead of doing pixel art like the original game had, they did kind of a 3D model, which, as you might have seen in that cutscene, it kind of didn't meld as well as it could have, and they kind of go back and forth between the old stuff and the new stuff, so it might stand out pretty easily when they, some of the new stuff. Anyway, also, the other thing is, unlike, old adventure games where you had to pixel hunt, where, look over there, they gave you little hints of things you can interact with, so again, I'm used to doing pixel hunting, so I'm old school like that, and it just, again, kind of breaks immersion for you, I think. But let's look at all the stuff in the room.
A bust of Pierre Carchon, humble servant of La France.
Okay. And what about your book collection?
The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions.
In fact, there's a first edition of Playboy right there.
Pierre Carchon again. His eyes seem to follow me around the room.
He likes to have Pierre Cachon, or whoever that is.
Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before, and written about him. The costume killer, at least that's what I'd called him.
Well, at least he's not the clown prince of crime.
Some
or we'd have to
people
get
hate
Batman in
searching
here.
corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend.
So you're saying your old boyfriend was like a dead fish. Okay, so I'm guessing because there was no hole in the jacket that the jacket was open when he was shot, but... Wait a second, that doesn't make sense because he had it closed when he went in there, so... Okay, what do we got here?
In his pocket, I found a ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I tampered with the evidence. There was no going back now.
And
Carchon had been shot.
still no bullet hole either. So anything else?
Carchon.
We got, what, a hairpin here?
It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact. It must have fallen when I was knocked down.
Pretty average to be your favorite, being it's just like, you can buy those like for 50 cents for like 10 or something like that. Use inventory, background objects, check. So this is the inventory stuff.
Stamped Bateau de la Concierge. When I was a little girl, Papa used to take me on the Bateau Mouche as a treat.
So I'm guessing it's like a train or a boat or something?
It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact.
Okay, so nothing to do there. And let's look at his face.
I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow.
I think that's about all we can do here, at least for now. Yeah, see, no bullet hole. And what about the window?
A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job.
Done by a guy with long arms, because, I mean, he'd cut it there, and then he would have to reach down there, so, I mean, I guess you could do it, but wouldn't it make more sense to cut right there and do the latch?
The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket, and took it with him.
Of course, it's an adventure game. You can fit anything in your pocket. And I don't think there's going to be anything else in here. And where's the crashing vase?
The police could turn up at any minute. Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them.
Before the police mucked it up.
The door was locked.
What we got here? A silken handkerchief with a cross on it.
I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful.
Aha, it's hiding some type of keyhole or something?
Even my fingernail wouldn't fit into such a small hole.
Well, that's what she said. And let's see, what's over here?
A magnificent antique table.
With a hole in it. Okay, and let's look at the painting.
Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her that.
Yeah, sure. And what's this?
It was a tube of acrylic paint. French ultramarine. Just the color I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
stealing my paint.
Yep. Oh,
Oops.
this paint. It's my favorite color.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
Yeah, so I have a handkerchief.
The cloth was embroidered with an unusual symbol.
It was a cross. That's not very unusual.
The tube of paint from Imelda's easel. French ultramarine.
Never heard of French ultramarine. I've heard of Prussian blue and I've heard of ultramarine, but not French ultramarine. But it is France. We have to name everything and make it better for France. Let's see. Let's talk to you then.
Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
Okay, yeah, because that was the other thing. The old game was done with the scum system, so you'd go up here and it would give you the options instead of having them on the screen. Same thing with your inventory. Your inventory would be down here, and you could interact and ask questions, but this is alright. I just liked it, the scum system better because it wasn't in the middle of the game. That, and also you didn't have the portraits talking. It was just done with the sprite animation.
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Journalists don't feel sorry.
Not true.
We shall see.
Especially if you give me a good scoop.
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him? Thierry Collard?
Pierre knew a lot of people I didn't know, most of them women.
True. He was an adulterer, it said. Did you see the killer mime?
Would a mime want to kill your husband?
Didn't give him a
Had
tip.
Plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start.
Maybe he was an imaginary enemy. To go with the imaginary stuff that mimes do.
Why did your husband send for me? What did he want to discuss?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything?
No, and frankly I preferred it that way. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronise me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
Yes.
Yes, that's why I do this job.
You do it to see your name in print.
As if my editor gets the byline, I just do the work.
Well, don't expect my sympathy.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really.
And my painting.
Not much, was it? The dutiful wife. That was my role. He never talked, never let me in.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job, not the police.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
Because I said I am honest, and besides, if you get the police, they will send Inspector Clouseau, and you know how that happens.
Your husband invited me here today because he needed me. I think he knew somebody wanted to kill him, and he knew I could help.
I doubt it was your database he was after.
You're wrong. I was onto his killers already, I am sure of it. Please, you owe it to him.
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
You really do have a moral sense, don't you? I trust so few people. And perhaps Pierre really did think that you could help. Of course it wouldn't have stopped him seducing you, too. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room. I rarely went in there. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might find.
Or who I might find. Or him with who I might find.
I promise you won't regret this.
Okay, so, and that is our journal, isn't it? Okay, that just basically gives you the little clues. Creepy mind outside apartment. Doesn't trust me much. Fortunately, she has a chance to let me investigate her husband buried. Yeah. I guess that's like the hint system if you ever get lost. Okay, so we can go in here now.
Now we were getting somewhere.
Yeah, you can definitely see where this was made for mobile platforms where you have to click and hold and drag everything. Nope. Cloth does nothing. So what do we have? We have doors, lights.
I didn't need the lights on. It was light enough already.
What about this painting?
The painting showed the Cachons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different country. Or did I read that in a fortune cookie?
Probably a little bit of both. And, yeah, they look so much in love.
The painting was attached firmly to the wall.
And there's a little button right here.
There was the very faintest of clicks.
So, what? Okay, that opened it, and we got a safe.
Behind the picture was a safe.
She needs a key and a combination. What else do we have in here? We have a seat.
This wasn't the time for me to lie on the sofa doing my Marie Antoinette impression.
You
No,
paint
it
me
is
like
very
one of your
popular
French
at
girls.
parties, especially with gay guys. Don't ask me why.
That's a little rude. It's a good piece of furniture.
As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been placed with mathematical precision.
Everything at right angles and perpendicular and all that, and there's an elephant.
My heart skipped a beat. It was a carved elephant. But not just any carved elephant. It had been made by my father. I knew for certain because in my apartment I had its exact twin, carved into a box he had made. So Cauchon had known my father. They really must have been friends. I decided to take the carved elephant. It clearly meant nothing to Imelda.
Besides, no one will notice me carrying around a wooden carved elephant.
I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper. Not while it was blank.
Blanks was maybe put that on it?
The paint would have just soaked into the blotting paper, but the idea was good.
Okay, so it's it's giving me a hint that there was something that we can do with that. Let's look at the elephant.
It was the beautiful elephant my father had carved.
Okay, and... Okay, that's for combining items.
No. I smeared the paint all over the cloth. When I do messy, I really like to put my heart into it. I hoped this was going to help. They don't make lace like that anymore.
And I just ruined it. Try that instead.
Rubbing the cloth over the blotting paper would make it all blue. I needed to come up with something slightly cleverer.
Okay, so I'm kind of on the right track, but I need something else. I'm guessing this is going to be locked as well. Yep.
Locked. Not surprising, really.
Okay. Oh, wait a second. I wonder if... It says the hole in here, I couldn't put the a finger in it, but maybe I could put the hairpin in it. There we go.
No.
No. There we go.
Aha! Nico, you are just so damn good at this stuff.
Especially being that was not conspicuous at all.
Imelda, I was ransacking her flat. Why?
Because there was something going on here, and I had to get answers before the cops arrived.
And hey, she'd been rude to me, so she had it coming.
Okay, so we got the key. So, I think we can use the key to the safe. Of course, maybe we still need the conversation, so we might have to talk to her again. And use the key. Or not. And what do we have here?
In the safe was some kind of artifact.
There were strange symbols on its surface.
It looked like the printer's blocks I'd made at art school. If there was one thing I'd learned about symbols, they are always important.
Yes,
But
I've
these
read Dan
symbols
Brown's
scratched
books.
into stone were impossible to read.
I needed to find a way of printing them. At least the stone was round. But what could I use for ink?
Gee,
And what could I print on?
I
Sure,
think
I
we
was
know
stealing,
what we could
but
use.
I knew Imelda didn't know about the artifact, and Carchon was past carrying.
Okay, so I think now we can go use that on that.
I wiped the paint-covered cloth over the surface of the stone cylinder.
It took me right back to art class at school. And Maurice, my gorgeous art teacher.
Such a shame they had to fire him. Ah well.
Concentrate, Nico, concentrate.
Because he was just like so dreamy. He was that starving artist appeal. And then I think we can take this on the blotting paper. And roll it there.
Genius. The roller and the paint worked just as I planned. But what did it say?
Looks kind of the same as that handkerchief. And sub... Judas? SDSSDSS?
It was some kind of coded message.
It read, Sub Judice. I may not have learned a lot as a journalist, but that was a term I knew well. It means a legal case that is before the courts. Below it was a sequence of letters that made no sense. I suddenly realized there was a connection between the boat ticket and the coded message. The boat ticket was stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. The conciergerie on the Ile de la Cité, by the river, housed the ancient law courts. So, sub judice could in this case mean literally under the law courts, below the conciergerie. I was pretty sure I'd found all I could here. And besides, all this opulence was making me pine for my regular life of poverty. This was a huge story. It was also one heck of a puzzle with a lot of pieces missing. But I was going to crack it. And if I could just remember the name of that fancy prize you get for being an ace journalist, I was
The Pulitzer, you
definitely going
mean?
to win it this time.
Okay, so I think we have everything here, I guess. Besides, the police should be here any minute now, so, we don't want to be snooping around when they come in. Let's see if you have anything else to say.
Did you find anything useful?
This carving, do you know anything about it?
It was Pierre's. What does the statue have to do with...
Please, I need to know.
My father made it.
Given it by a friend. Something to do with Africa.
He never explained any more.
No. But I think it was important to him. Always on display. Why?
It was carved by my father.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
Or I didn't care.
I will do everything I can to find the killer.
Thank you, my dear.
And if the police ask...
Don't worry. You were never here.
Sub judice was the key. I was going to have to find a way under the conciergerie. I decided to head straight for the quayside on the Ile de la Cité. If there was a way of getting under the conciergerie, it would have to be from there.
I swear on this elephant that my father made that I will find his killer.
Canchon wasn't the type for messing about on the river. He was up to something down here. Something that got him killed.
Hey, I wonder if that's Duncan's Bard there. Maybe we can go see the Highlander or something like that. But I think that's a good place to stop for right now. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode where we are going to apparently mess around on the river for something. Until then...